Hi guys, and welcome to our fourth class in our Yoga Foundation series. So today we're going to add on again to what we've learned so far, and we're going to talk a little bit more about our feet and our hands. So depending on if you're down on the floor or standing up, our feet or our hands or both might be touching the floor, and really the idea behind both our feet and our hands in yoga is that we want the weight to be equally distributed through our foot, so front and back and the sides of the foot, and also through our hands. We want our full palm to be pushing into the floor. So I'm going to talk a lot about pushing the roots of the fingers, so these points here into the ground firmly, specifically the spot in between your thumb and your index finger. You're really in down dog or the planks, all the poses where your hands are pushing into the floor. You want this area to be pushing firmly into the ground. So remember everything we've learned so far. I'm going to try and focus more on the new cues to give you rather than repeating neutral pelvis, open shoulders, lower ribs in. I'm going to assume that you remember these and that you're going to do little checks as we move into a pose, checking with your hips, your shoulders, your ribs, and then we're going to talk about the feet and the hands. So for the class, again, grab a block, yoga block, well, 2 yoga blocks if you have them, or a couple of books, or a couple of water bottles. I don't think we'll be really sitting on the support today. It's going to be more used to bring the floor closer to us, so as we're folding forward, we're not rounding the back. Okay, so take a moment, pause the video if you need to go grab that, and then come back. I'll meet you on your mat. So today we're going to start actually in the extended child's pose. So make your way there. We've been in this pose many times before. And you're going to bring your knees about mat width apart, then bring your big toes to touch behind you, and then allow the hips to gently come down on top of your heels. From there, extend the arms forward as far as they can reach, and I want you to just relax your arms. So relax the elbows down, place the forehead on the floor, or if the floor is a little bit too far, grab your block or a book, and place the forehead on your support. I actually really want you to place your forehead on something, because doing that is quite calming, and the first few minutes of this class we're going to spend focusing on our breath and preparing for the class. So make your way there, extending the arms and then placing your forehead down. Release your elbows, release the shoulders, close the eyes. Start quieting the mind. And start bringing the focus onto your breath. First, seeing if you can find your breath. Just learning to notice it. But then start following it. Start following the air as it enters the nostrils, as it fills up your torso, and then slowly exits. Now in this position here, you may be able to feel your belly and your ribs pushing into your legs as you inhale. But then you may feel that pressure relaxing with each exhale. Just see if you can find that. And if you can, focus your attention on that feeling, on that flow of your ribs expanding and pushing into your legs, and then contracting and releasing the pressure. If you're not quite able to connect with that feeling, or you just don't like it for whatever reason, try to find another place where you can feel your breath. So maybe you can feel it entering your nostrils, and exiting. So if that's the case, then bring your focus, your attention onto your nostrils and follow the breath there. Maybe you can nicely feel your chest expanding and contracting as you breathe. So maybe you're choosing to anchor your attention onto that. Or maybe it's the movement of your belly. So whatever it is, pick one spot where you can feel your breath and where it feels really nice and smooth and spacious to breathe. And keep your attention there. Try to use the deep belly breaths like we have been doing so far. So relax the belly muscles, allow the belly to expand and contract as you breathe, but keep your attention on the spot that you've chosen. The breath is slow, deep, long inhales, and deep, long exhales. Try to relax as much of your body as you can. And if you're noticing that your mind starts wandering after a couple of breaths and you lose that connection to the spot that you've chosen to focus on, just acknowledge that that happened. That's completely normal. Our minds are constantly wanting to go to something else, to be busy, but you're trying to calm them down and trying to quiet them. So when you notice that your mind has wandered, bring it back onto that spot that you've chosen to focus on. And just continue breathing. No judgment being placed there, just continuing on. We'll stay here for about 5 more breaths. So use that time to practice keeping your mind still and focused on one spot. And after your next exhale, let go of controlling your mind and controlling your breath. And just relax, come back to normal breathing. Allow your mind to wander once again. In the next inhale, slowly lift the forehead off the floor, the block or the book. Push into your hands a little bit more and start walking your hands back towards your knees. You're going to take the block or whatever if you were using something over to the side and come up. And then bring your knees together, come to a kneeling position. Now if this doesn't feel good for your knees, feel free to come into the easy cross-legged seat. If this doesn't feel good, you can also try extending the legs. A lot of options here. But if kneeling is okay, then we're going to stay kneeling here today. Open across the chest and then place the hands towards your knees. So reach towards your knees. We're going to do a couple of rounds of cats and cows, but here in a kneeling position today. So with an inhale, open the shoulders. Bring your chest forward. Open it nice and wide. Try to bring the shoulder blades together. And then look up gently, but don't crank your head too much back. Just lengthen the neck and look up. With an exhale, round the upper back. You can even grab your knees with your hands and pull a little bit while you're pushing your upper back behind you, feeling that stretch in between the shoulder blades, dropping the chin down towards the chest. And again, with an inhale, open across the chest. Slight back bend here, bring the shoulder blades together. And exhale, round the upper back, grabbing your knees. Good, let's do 2 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. And last one, open. And round. This time we're going to come back to center and then place your hands onto your lower back with your hands pointing straight down towards your feet. Inhale to lengthen the spine. With an exhale, try to bring the elbows together and the shoulder blades. Again, opening the chest, going a little bit deeper maybe into that back bend. Good. And exhale, come back to center. Now bring your hips to either side and bring your legs forward and then come down onto your back. So we're going to do our starting sequence where we are trying to wake up our glutes and our core so that those muscles stay ready to fire later on during the practice. So bend your knees, feet will come wherever they come. They don't have to be close to your glutes like we've been doing so far. Toes are pointing straight forward, arms are down by your sides. Inhale here, tighten, so find your nice alignment here where your sacrum, your scapula, so your shoulder blades, and the back of your head, back of your skull is on the floor. Engage your lower belly muscles in, and with an exhale, we're going to lift the hips up. So we'll flow here a few times. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift the hips up. Inhale, down. Exhale, up. One more time, down. Up and squeeze and hold. So squeezing the glutes here, holding. Pulling the belly in. Good. Keep squeezing, keep holding. And then keep your left foot where it is. Keep really push into that left heel. Lift the right heel off the floor. Then maybe right toes come off the ground. Extend the right leg forward. So your knees are together. Your right leg is on an angle, about 45-degree angle. Keep squeezing into left glute. Pushing the hips up. Hold. If you start shaking like I am, that's completely fine. It means that your muscles are working. Good. 2 more breaths. Lift the hips and place your right foot down. Good. We're going to switch sides, so pushing into the right heel. Lift the left heel off the floor, then left toes come off the ground. Extend the left leg forward. So your left foot can be flexed like this. It can be extended, or it can be somewhere in between where you're pushing the ball of your foot forward and your toes are flexed. So keep squeezing the right glute. Lift a little bit higher. Just a little bit longer here. Good. And place the left foot down. Slowly place the hips back down. Good. Now bring the knees into your chest, wrap the arms around, maybe start rocking side to side. Good, and then bring the knees back to center. Inhale here, with an exhale, we're going to lift the forehead and try to bring your forehead towards your knees. Probably not going to touch, but curl into this tight little ball. Maybe even grab your outsides of your feet here with your hands. So curling in. One more inhale. And exhale, release your feet, release your head down. Yep. This time with an exhale, we're going to lift the forehead towards the knees, but extend the arms towards the feet. As you inhale, extend the arms up behind you and extend the legs to hover off the ground. Exhale, bring the knees and the forehead together. Arms reach towards the feet. Inhale, extending the legs and the arms. 3 more. Exhale, curl it. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. extend. Last one, curl in and extend. This time curl in and hold. Good. Maybe you grab your feet again, curling in a little bit more. And exhale, slowly release your head back down and place your knees down. Good. And now we're going to extend the legs up towards the ceiling. Flex the feet. Good. And then let's point and flex feet a few times. As you point, really feel the stretch on the tops of your feet. As you flex them, feel the stretch in your calf muscles. A couple more times like this. And then keep your feet flexed. Bring your hands behind your neck. Point the elbows up. Inhale here. Exhale, lift the head off the floor and your right hand towards the left ankle. Come back to center, lower down. Exhale, left hand to the right ankle. Inhale back to center. Exhale, right hand to the left ankle. Center. Exhale, left hand, right ankle. Center. 3 more times each side. Exhale. Center. Exhale, left hand, right ankle. Inhale, center. 2 more times each side. And last time. Good. Place your head down, bend the knees, bring your hands behind your knees, and like we've done the last couple of times, rocking along the length of the spine for 3, 4, 5 times. And finally, cross your ankles. Bring your hands in front of you and walk your knees back. We're going to come into a tabletop position. So for the tabletop, try to find neutral spine here first. So you want your knees under your hips. And now we're going to come into a puppy pose. So walking the hands forward, you're going to start lowering your chest towards the floor. But I actually want you to see if you can place the forehead onto the floor or support. Keep the lower ribs in and your belly engaged. So you can do this pose a couple of times, a couple of ways. One way is to lower the chest towards the floor as much as possible to bring a back bend into your back. But that's not what I want today. Today I want you to keep that core engaged. So I don't want you to go into a back bend. I want you to go into shoulder opener. So you should feel this in your shoulders, not in your lower back. So your elbows are off the floor. If the forehead doesn't touch the support, that's fine. This is a more active pose than the previous, when we were in the extended child's pose. Good, one more breath here. And inhale, slowly walk your hands back. Lift the forehead off the support. Walk your hands back under your shoulders. Now we'll go into thread the needle, which is a twist. So we're going to inhale, lift the right arm up towards the ceiling, reach tall. And exhale, slide the right arm under your left armpit, placing the right shoulder onto the ground, right temple. So last time we did this in extended child's pose. Today we're doing it a little bit different. And now with your left hand, you can extend the left arm forward. Or you can see if you can place your left hand on your low back. Or maybe find your right hip and hook the hand into your hip. That's adding a bit of a twist, opening the chest to the side. And breathe. And then gently place the left hand back under the left shoulder. Push it into the floor firmly so the whole palm pushes. Inhale, reach the right arm up. And exhale, place the hand down, switch sides. Inhale, lifting the left arm up. And exhale, bring it under your right armpit, placing the right temple down, and then either extending the right arm forward, placing the palm of your head on your low back, or finding that left hip, adding a bit more of a twist. And you can close your eyes and breathe. And then place your right hand back under the right shoulder, push it into the floor. Inhale, lift up, reach the left arm up to stretch. And exhale, placing the left hand down. Okay, let me just adjust my mic. You stay in your tabletop. Good. So find your neutral spine here, your neutral pelvis. Bringing the ribs in, everything we've talked about so far, and then push your hands into the floor. So all those roots of the fingers are firmly pushing in. Your fingers are nice and wide. So this is the foundation for really down dog or any other pose where we have our hands on the floor. Try to bring the creases of your wrists parallel to the short edge of the mat. So about somewhere between your third and second finger is pointing straight forward. Good. And now from here, we're going to lift the right knee off the ground and extend the right leg back behind you. So we're doing this, I think the first class. Bringing the heel in line with the hip, pushing the heel back behind you. So see if you can straighten that right leg. And then staying there or coming into tips of the fingers of the left hand, or reach your left arm forward, thumb facing up. So your ribs are in, you're still pushing into the right hand. Breathe here for 2 more breaths. Good. Exhale, place your hand down, but keep your leg lifted. Now we're going to bend the right knee. The foot is facing towards the ceiling. Try to bring the knee in line with the hip. And then with an exhale, push the heel up, squeeze the right glute. Inhale, bring the knee in line with the hip. Exhale, squeeze up. Inhale, center. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Center, squeeze. Center, squeeze, 5 more. Center. Keep going. Squeeze. 3 more. 2. And 1. Bring the knee in line with the hip, extend the leg just for a breath, and then place the knee down. Good, switching sides. So lifting that left leg, bring the heel in line with the hip, hips are squared, push the heel back, straighten the leg. Toes are pointing down, and then you come onto the fingertips of the right hand, or extend the right arm forward. Keep pushing into left palm, keep holding. Breathe. Don't hold your breath. We have a tendency to hold the breath if something starts getting harder. Don't do that. Try to breathe through it. Good. Place your hand down. Bend the left knee. Exhale, lift the heel up. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, lift. That's 2. We're going for 10. Down, up, 3, 4, 5, squeeze the glute as you push, 6, 7, 3 more, 2, 1, squeeze, come back to center, extend the leg, 1 more inhale, exhale, place the knee down, and then bring your hips onto your heels, and let's do just a few wrist circles here, going in one direction. Good, and switch direction of your circle. Let's stretch the wrist a little bit more. So coming back to tabletop, see if you can lean forward a little bit. So your shoulders are past your wrists, and then come back to center. Let's do that again. Lean forward and back. 1 more, keep the core engaged. Forward and back. And now we're going to turn the fingers to point towards the sides of the mat. But your wrists are still kind of under your shoulders, about that width. And we're going to lean side to side. So lean to the right, and then center, and then left. Center, again going right, center, left. One more time each side, right, through center and left. Center. Now pointing the fingers back towards the knees. You're just going to lean the hips back a little bit and hold. So hold the stretch. You should be feeling it in the back of your wrists. 2 more breaths. And then come back to center. In the last stretch, we're going to flip the palms so that they're facing up. And now you're going to have to lean back slightly because you're going to start feeling this right away. So start with your shoulders above the wrists, but then lean back a little bit. Now finding the stretch of the tops of our wrists. And breathe into that stretch, hold there. Good. And inhale, come back to center, flip the palms back onto the ground, and then walk your hands forward a little bit. You want to find the kneeling plank. So walk them until you can bring your hips down, and hips are not higher than your shoulders, but also not lower than the rest of the body. You want to really engage that core, pushing the hands into the ground. So again, all knuckles, all roots of your fingers, everything's pushing into the floor. And you can almost start here clawing with your fingers, almost like you want to claw something. Try clawing your mat, but so you're clawing with the fingers, but keeping the roots of the fingers in the floor. So see if you can find that engagement here in your kneeling plank. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Good. And then you can stay here in kneeling plank, or if you want to go further, tuck the toes under, lift the knees up, we're in a full plank. Good. One more breath here. Again, your whole body is one straight line. Your hips are not hiking up or sinking down. You're pushing the hands down. You're pushing the balls of the feet into the floor. Good. 2 more breaths. Place your knees down. Good. And then come into extended child's pose. Bring the knees wide apart. Hands are forward. Good. Inhale, come up. Now we're going to go into forearm plank. So placing the forearms down, your elbows down. 2 options here. Like we did last time, you can interlace the fingers, have your hands like that, or push the palms into the floor so your wrists are in line with your shoulders. Tuck the toes under and extend the legs back. So you can have the knees down. That's completely fine. But if you want the challenge, lift the knees up. You're going to hold this for about 5 more breaths. And next exhale, lift the hips up and walk the feet in a little bit, coming into dolphin. Good. Release the head. Now, again, if it's easier to have your fingers interlaced, do that, but make sure that your elbow's not wider than your shoulders. Good. So we've done the dolphin a few times until now. We're going to add a little bit more to it. So next inhale, lift the right leg up. See how that feels. It doesn't have to come high up. You can just try lifting the toes off the floor. But if you can lift it, pull the little ribs in, hold, and place your right foot down. Switching sides, trying the left foot. Hold it. Good, and place the foot down. Again, bring your knees down. And now we're going to place the hands onto the ground and move into down dog. So your hands are about shoulder width or a little bit wider. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Push into the roots of your fingers, and especially that space in between your thumb and your index finger. So we want to push into that space. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees, push the belly onto the thighs, and then straighten your legs. And you can walk your dog here a little bit, bending one knee at a time, reaching the opposite heel towards the floor. Remember everything we talked about down dog so far: hips, shoulders, ribs. And now hands, so really pushing them still into the floor. And your feet should be about hip width apart here. Toes should be pointing forward. And then push into the roots of your big toe. So your ankles might collapse inward. See how that feels. It shouldn't feel too good. And then push into the outsides of your feet, so into the root of your little toe. See how that feels. We want the weight to be somewhere in between in our down dog. So right in the middle of the ball of the foot. Try to find that spot. So we want our ankles to be neutral and weight to be equally distributed throughout the sides of your foot. You probably don't have your knees down, so you're going to be focusing on the balls of the feet. If your heels are down, then push them into the floor as well. 2 more breaths. Good. Let's try lifting the leg now in down dog. So with an inhale, try lifting the right foot off the floor, maybe reaching it up for 3-legged dog. See how high you can bring it without opening the hips. So you want to keep the hips square to the floor. Use the right glute, squeeze it. Good, and then place your right foot down. Switching sides. Lifting the left foot up. Squeezing the glute, reaching the heel high up. Good, and place it back down. Good, bend the knees, look forward, and we're going to slowly walk our feet towards the hands. I can feel this in my shoulders, you can probably too. So really bend the knees here into deep forward fold, place your belly onto the thighs, and then grab opposite elbows, maybe sway side to side. Relax the head, your neck. Good, place your hands to your waist, elbows pointing up, and with an inhale, you're going to rise all the way up, straight back. Good, and coming to Tadasana. Good. Once you're in Tadasana, let's talk about the feet there. So there are a couple of options for Tadasana. Some prefer to have their, I'll turn towards you, have their feet hip width apart, and I prefer this. Other people like to have their feet together, and I do cue this when we do chair pose, which we will do in a bit. So when you want to have your feet together, then your big toes are together, but there's about an inch in between your heels. I'm going to stand here with my feet hip width apart. Good. Then you can bring your hands to your waist while we explore the feet. So start rocking forward and back on your feet. So coming on the balls of your feet and then your heels. And do that a few times. And then try to find a spot where the weight is equal between the front and the back of the foot. And then stay there. Good. And now start rocking side to side. Good. And again, trying to find a spot where the weight is equal. And then stay there. And then you're really trying to push the amount of the big toe and the little toe into the floor. And try to find these two spots in your heels, on the opposite ends of the heels, here, and push those two spots into the floor. And now your foot is evenly distributed. Good. We also want to fire up our arches in the feet. So let's lift all the toes and then place your little toe and your big toe onto the floor, but keep the other 3 toes lifted. This requires some mental work as well. And then try placing your 4th, your 3rd, without lifting your big toe, I can't do it, and then your 2nd toe down. And you're going to feel this arch in the front of the foot nice and engaged. You're also going to feel, so we have 3 arches in our feet. One goes across the front, one goes from the root of the pinky toe towards your heel, and the one that we all know about that goes from the root of the big toe towards the heel. You can see that arch. So we want all 3 arches engaged here. Good. And then lift the knees, neutral hips, open across the chest, low ribs in, Tadasana. Maybe close your eyes, see how this feels. So what we just talked about, the feet in Tadasana, really applies to any standing pose. You always want to have your feet distributed evenly throughout the whole foot and have your arches engaged. Now it's easier said than done, and it really comes with practice, but that's the idea. So let's move on. So we're still in our nice Tadasana. We're going to add to our little sun salutation modification that we've been doing, making it look more like a traditional sun salutation. So then inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, come halfway up, flat back, shoulders back on your ribs, back ribs. Exhale to fold. Hands on the floor, we're going to step the right foot far back, place the right knee down. Inhale, high lunge, bring the arms up. Exhale, place the hands down. Step the left foot back. Find your kneeling plank. Good. Inhale here. Turn the creases of the elbows forward. Push into your hands. Exhale, lower all the way down onto the floor so your chest touches the ground. With an inhale, come into baby cobra. So slide in hands towards the feet, lifting the chest off the ground. Bring shoulder blades together. Exhale to fold. Pushing into the hands, lift up into a kneeling plank. Your body is one straight line if you can make that. Tuck the toes under. Lift the hips up, down dog. Good. If you need to step your feet in a little bit, you can do that. Good. And now what we just practiced, we're going to inhale, lift the right leg up for 3-legged dog. And then bend the knee. Bring it into the chest. We're doing this last time. So really pull it in. Puff up in between your shoulder blades. And then step the right foot forward. Left knee comes down. Inhale, rise up, low lunge. Exhale to fold. Tuck the back toes under, lift the knee, step the left foot forward. Inhale, come halfway up, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. And hands come down to heart center. Let's do the other side. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway up, flat back, torso parallel to the floor. Exhale, fold. This time we're going to step the left foot back. Left knee comes down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step the right foot back, finding that kneeling plank. Creases of the elbows forward, elbows close to rib cage, lower all the way down. Inhale, come up into baby cobra. Exhale, fold, push into your hands, come back into a kneeling plank. Tuck the toes under, hips go up, down dog. We're moving a little bit faster now, but we've done this a few times already. Good. Lifting the left leg this time. Inhale, lift it up. Bend the knee, bring it into your chest, really squeeze it in, and then step the foot forward. Place the right knee down. Inhale, rise up. Good. Exhale, hands to the floor. Lift the left knee up. Step the left foot forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, come halfway up, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. And hands come down. Close your eyes. Find your breath. Good. And we're gonna move on a bit. So we're gonna go into our main flow. Again, a lot of poses that we've done already, but we're gonna introduce a couple of new ones. And we'll start this time in Tadasana with our feet together. So big toes together, heels slightly apart. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, bend at your knees and your hips, but coming into Utkatasana, the chair pose. So sending the hips back. In chair, the weight is in your heels, not the balls of the foot. So this pose, your weight is not equally distributed. It's more in your heels. You should be able to lift your toes. Wiggle them here. Then sink a little bit lower. Let's bring the hands to the heart center. Inhale here with an exhale. Bring your left elbow just above the right knee. And then bring the tips of your fingers together and then try to open the chest towards your hands. So adding a twist to our chair pose. Often people have their hands palms together here and then push into palms and use that push to come into a twist. I want you to use your core to come into a twist. Don't push into the twist. So trying to open the chest here. One more breath. Sink the hips down a bit more. Good. And exhale. Fold forward. Straighten the legs. Hands come to the ground. Good. Hands are firmly on the floor. Step the right foot back. And then the left. Good. Place the knees down. This is called Vinyasa. Exhale, lower towards the floor. We did this already today. Inhale, baby cobra. Or maybe you come up a little bit higher this time. Exhale to fold. Push the hands into ground. Come back into your kneeling plank. Tuck the toes under. Push the hips up, down dog. Good. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Then bend the knee again, bring it into your chest, squeeze. And step the foot in between the hands. Place your left heel down. Left foot is on an angle for warrior one. Start squaring the hips. Move that right hip back. Inhale, rise up. Warrior one. So we learned warrior one last time. Bend into your front knee. Bring the floating ribs in. And then push into the mound of the big toe here. So trying to distribute the weight throughout the front foot. And then push into the outside edge of the back foot to help engage that back leg. Good. One more inhale to lengthen, and then bring the hands behind your back. Interlace the fingers. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, open the chest. Push the knuckles down towards the floor. Coming into a slight back bend. Maybe look up slightly. Breathe. Good. Inhale, come back to center. Hands come to the waist and come to the ball of the back foot. So we're in a lunge. Your back knee is slightly bent. Good. Extend the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, float the hands down. Placing your left hand under the left shoulder. Squeeze into left glute. Inhale, open for a twist. Reaching the right fingertips up. You're pushing the whole left palm into the floor. And you're pushing the ball of the back foot down. And then push the mound of the big toe of the front foot into the ground. One more breath. And now start coming onto the tips of the fingers of the left hand. And then try to place your left hand just above the right knee. Keep staying in a twist, keep rising, keep pushing into your feet to help you lift up. And then you can look, if you have the balance, look towards your right hand. One more breath. Inhale, bring the arms forward. And then to your waist. Place your left heel down. So your left foot is about parallel to the floor, or maybe the toes are to the short edge of the mat, or maybe the toes are slightly in. We are bending into the right knee, preparing for warrior two. So in warrior two, again, you're pushing into the outside edge of the back foot, And you're pushing into the mound of the big toe of the front foot, keeping the knee in line with your toes. As we said, torso is above the hips. Extend the arms, relax the shoulders. Warrior two. The gaze can be in line with your front fingers. Maybe sink a little bit lower. Good. Inhale, flip the front palm up. Exhale, reverse the warrior. Left hand on the left leg. Reach the right arm up. Good. Finding a nice opening on the side of the body, right side. Good. Inhale, come back through center. And then place your right elbow above the left knee. Coming into extended side angle. New pose for today. Bend the front knee. You want to open the chest to the side so that your back is nice and straight and open. Good. And then bring your left arm forward and then plug the left shoulder in. So don't reach it forward. Really plug the shoulder on top of your rib cage. And then with the palm facing the floor, reach your left arm forward. And then notice if you're sagging into a bottom shoulder, lift out of it. Still pushing into the mound of the big toe of the front foot and the outside edge of the back foot. The gaze here can be down, forward, or up towards the ceiling. One more breath. Inhale, rise all the way up. Straighten the front leg. Bring your feet pigeon-toed, and I'm going to turn. So your toes are slightly closer together than your heels. Nice wide stance here. This time we're going to keep the hands at the waist and point the elbows back. Good. So wide-legged forward fold. This is the first variation of the pose with the hands at the waist. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, hinging right at the hips. So not rounding at the back, but hinging at the hips. Coming straight down. Keep pulling the elbows together. And then release your head. So in wide-legged forward folds, the weight is more in the balls of the feet than your heels. And then you're lifting your knees up to engage your whole leg. And making sure to have the outside edges of the feet pushing into the floor, as well as the mound of the big toe. Good. 2 more breaths. Feel your hamstrings here opening. Good. Now release the hands. Place them to the floor. And walk your hands over towards your left foot, so towards the front of the mat. Good. Staying here with the left foot firmly pressing into the ground. So try to find the weight distribution. We're going to come standing on that left foot only. So start preparing for that, bending into left knee, lifting the right leg up. So we're doing this as a transition before, but we're going to actually make this into warrior 3. So your first option is to grab your blocks or your books and then place your hands on your blocks, because for the warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3, we want to have our torso and our lifted leg be parallel to the floor eventually. So if we place our hands on the blocks, our torso is going to be more lifted than when the hands were down on the floor. Really pushing again into the full left foot, finding the place where you can feel the weight evenly distributed. And maybe you can start playing with lifting your hands off the block. Or not. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Good. And exhale, place your right foot down. Move the blocks to the sides. Bend the knees, forward fold. Good. Let's walk the feet together. So big toes are touching, heels are slightly apart. Bend the knees and your hips. Reach the arms forward and up. And we're in a chair pose again. Utkatasana. Good, let's add a twist. So bringing the hands to your heart center. Inhale here, exhale, right elbow comes above the left knee. Again, bringing the fingers to touch and then using the core to open the chest. The weight is in your heels, sinking the hips even lower. Keeping the ribs in, core engaged. Good, and exhale, place the hands down, straighten the legs. Hands are on the floor, stepping the left foot back, and then the right. Bring the knees down, kneeling plank. Exhale, elbows stay close to the ribs, lower all the way down. Push the tops of the feet into the floor. Inhale, baby cobra, or maybe full cobra. Exhale to lower. Push up through kneeling plank. Tuck the toes under, hips go up, down dog. Good. This time you're going to lift the left leg up, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, bring it into your chest, round through the upper back. Step the foot in between the hands. Again, move it forward if you need to with your hand. And then place your right heel down, setting up for warrior one on the other side. Start pushing the left hip back as you're reaching up. Good. So again, for warrior one, man of the big toe pushing in, outside edge of the back foot pushing in. And then bring the arms up. Let's add a back bend. So interlace the fingers, but interlace them the awkward way. So not the way you had them previously. Switch which pinkies in the bottom. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, bring the shoulder blades together. Push the knuckles down to the floor. Maybe look up. Good. Inhale, come back through center. Come onto a ball of the back foot. Reach the arms up. Exhale, bringing the right hand under the right shoulder, squeezing into that right glute. Inhale, lift up, twist. And again, if the floor is too far away, use a block to lift you up in your twist. Good, and now coming onto the fingers of your right hand. Place your hand right above the right knee. Stay in a twist and lift up. It's tricky for the balance. If you fall out, that's fine. Just come back into it. Maybe looking back towards your left fingertips. Still squeezing into that right glute. Good, and inhale, come back into your lunge. Good. Hands to the waist, bring your right heel down. Setting up for warrior two. So you want your front heel to be in line with the arch of the back foot for the warrior two. Sinking into that front knee, pushing into the outside edge of the back foot and the mound of the big toe of the front foot, and extend your arms. Okay, try to have your knee in line with your toes. Warrior two for 2 more breaths. Good. Inhale, flip the front palm up. Exhale, revolve warrior. Place your right hand on your right leg. Reach the left arm up. Sorry, it's a reverse warrior, not revolved. Inhale, come back through center. Reach forward with your left hand and then place your left elbow right above the left knee. Bring your right arm forward and then bring that shoulder, glue it on top of your ribs. And then reach the arm forward with palm facing down. Still pushing firmly into the outside edge of the back foot. Opening the chest, rising out of the bottom shoulder. You can look down, forward, or up. One more breath. Good. And inhale, rise all the way up. Placing the hands to the waist. Pivot the feet again so that they're pigeon-toed. This time you're gonna interlace the fingers behind the back. So interlace them whichever way you prefer. Inhale to lengthen the spine with an exhale, again hinging right at the hips, keeping the back long. Folding forward, reaching the crown of the head towards the floor, and then allow your hands to come off your low back. Gently bend the elbows and see if you can bring your hands up towards the ceiling or maybe even facing forward. Again, here the weight is more in the balls of the feet. Engage your kneecaps. Release your head. And breathe. One more breath. And then release your hands. Place them under your face. And let's walk the hands forward towards your left foot. Good. So last time, since I turned, I switched my feet. So I'm going to switch here, but if you were doing Warrior 3 on the left foot last time, then have your right foot forward this time. You just want to be even, so it doesn't matter which foot you had forward last time, just have the other one right now. Okay, and then from here, we're bringing the weight into that front foot, lifting the left or the back heel foot off the floor, push that back heel. Imagine there's a wall behind you and you want to push that heel into the wall, really straightening the leg. And then straighten your arms. Try to bring the torso as parallel to the floor as you can, torso. And then think of lengthening the standing leg. So you're pushing your heel into the floor, and then think of lifting out of the hip. So don't sink into the hip, really lift out of it. And then you can play with maybe lifting your hands off the blocks, maybe bring them to heart center without losing your balance. Or if you lose the balance, just get back into it. That's how we get stronger. That's how we improve. Okay, one more breath. And then slowly bring your leg down. Move the blocks to the sides, bend the knees, forward fold. Then inhale, come halfway up, flat back, open across the chest. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise all the way up with the flat back. And exhale, hands come down to the heart center. Close your eyes, catch your breath. And now we're going to transition onto the floor. So bringing the feet about mat width apart, and they're on a 45-degree angle. Bring the hands towards the heart center. Let's start bending the knees, lowering the hips down, but keep your torso upright. So come as low as you can. If that's here, then fine, stay here. If it's too hard to hold, place your hands on your thighs. If you can go lower, keep going. You can use your blocks to maybe place under your seat, sit on the blocks or your books. But if you don't need that, keep going until your hips are reaching towards the floor. Open across the chest, pushing evenly into your feet, lengthening the back, and then think of pushing your elbows into your knees, but at the same time pushing your knees into the elbows. This is called Malasana, Yogi Squat. So stay here for 3 more breaths. Good. And then place the hands in front of you and bring your knees onto the floor. So you're going to go into Ustrasana, camel pose. For camel, bring your knees under your hips. So knees are hip width apart and your ankles are in line with your knees. Then we're going to bring the hands onto our lower back like we did at the beginning of the class where the fingers are pointing towards your knees. Bring the elbows together, open across the chest. Inhale to lengthen. With an exhale, first start pushing your hips forward. As you're lengthening the crown of the head up, pushing the hips forward, coming into a slight back bend, but you really want to lengthen first, not just dump into your low back. So pushing the hips, lengthening, bringing the elbows together, looking forward, or if your neck is healthy, you can allow your head to fall back. But if that's not good, keep looking forward. Good, one more breath. Next inhale, we're going to rise up, but bring both shoulders up at the same time. Squeeze the glutes as you're rising up. Good. We'll go into it one more time. You may choose to go a little bit deeper, or you can choose to do exactly what we just did. If you think you might want to go deeper, just as a prep, tuck your toes under to lift your heels a little bit higher off the floor. We're going to start the same way. So placing the hands in the low back, bring the elbows together. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, start pushing the hips forward, opening across the chest. And then maybe you start sliding your hands down your back of your legs. And maybe they'll reach your heels. But at the same time, keep pushing the hips forward. So really want those hips there, not here. And maybe you drop your head. To come up, let's stay here for one more breath. But like we did earlier, we want to come up with both shoulders together. So first we're going to place the hands back onto the low back, and then slowly come up with both shoulders together. Untuck the toes if they're tucked, bring your hips onto your heels, and then bring your hips to either side and extend the legs forward. You're going to keep the right leg extended, bend your left knee, and then cross your left foot to the outside of the right leg. So toes are pointing forward, your right leg is engaged, your foot is flexed, toes are pointing up. Place your right hand behind your back. Place your left hand behind your back. Inhale, bring the right arm up to reach tall. With an exhale, we're going to open the chest towards the left knee, hug your left knee with your right arm. But with an inhale, each inhale, think of lengthening the spine. Each exhale, see if you can twist a bit deeper. And your gaze can go behind your left shoulder to bring the twist into the mat. And breathe. Good. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, unwind, and we'll switch sides. So extend the left leg, bend the right knee, cross the right foot to the outside of the left leg, flex the left foot, and don't forget about it. Keep it flexed. Keep lifting your left kneecap. Place the right hand behind your low back. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, hug your right knee. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist. Maybe looking over your right shoulder. Maybe you can close your eyes. Good. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, unwind. And then let's bring the feet together, going into Baddha Konasana, the butterfly pose. So bring your feet together. I'll turn towards you. Place your hands on your ankles and then flap your knees up and down a few times, like your butterfly wings. Flapping your wings. Good. And then what I like to do is try to bring the outsides of my feet together. So opening the feet like they're a book. So that the soles of the feet are facing up. Keep your hands on your ankles. Opening the feet like this helps to lower the knees further towards the floor. Inhale, find length in the spine. If you need to use a block or a book to sit, and you'll know if you need it, if your low back starts rounding, then you need some support to sit on. Grab it and sit on it. I'd prefer that than you rounding through the lower back. So inhale here, length in the spine. So you exhale, hinging at the hips, so keeping the low back straight, fold forward. You can gently place your elbows on top of your legs And don't push your elbows into the legs, but just placing them there will encourage the legs to open a little bit further. And also help you keep open across the chest. It's a nice long back. You're still quite engaged here. You're holding yourself. The neck is long as well. Good. And with the next exhale, around your back, allow your back to round. So we don't often do this to allow the back to round, but here you can drop your head down, you can release your ankles if that feels good, and really fold, or maybe grab your toes and really fold forward, relaxing your body here. It's almost like a yin pose at this point. So you'll feel really juicy in your inner legs. Your hips. Relax your neck. And inhale, gently rise up. Good. And now we'll come onto the back. Bring your blocks or your books with you. And come down. Once there, bend your knees, feet are on the floor, lift the hips, and then slide your block or a book or a couple of books and place your sacrum, so again that spot right above your tailbone, place it on top of the block. And one option is just to stay here if this feels really good. If you want to go further, lift the right leg and point it up towards the ceiling, and then lift your left leg up. This is a variation of a shoulder stand, or variation of a legs up the wall. This is an inversion. So inversion is really any pose where our heart is above our head. So down dog is an inversion. Inversions are very calming and relaxing, and they're often done at the end of the class. So this is a great pose to do at the end of the class. Or even at night, if you can't sleep, you come to legs up the wall and stay there. Now you can stay here. This is one option to do it. If you have a wall close by, you can come as close to the wall as you can. I'm probably going to knock these pictures off the wall. So bring your hips on the side as close to the wall as you can. And then come lie down. And extend the legs up the wall. So your glutes are touching the wall, and so are the legs. You can flex the feet there, and then relax the arms, or you can place your arms on top of your belly. But this is much easier to hold, so it's a really good option. As I mentioned, in the evening, if you're having issues sleeping, come to this pose, especially with your legs actually on the wall, because you can really relax them there. You can add inversion here by placing the hips on the blocks as well. And then stay here. If you're having issues sleeping, stay here for about 10 minutes and then try to go back to sleep. You should be able to fall asleep much easier. Today we're not going to stay here for 10 minutes. I'm going to come back onto the mat. You can stay up next to the wall. Good. And to come out, you're going to bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, lift the hips, move the block to the side, and then place the hips down. If you're up the wall, then bring the legs over to the side, and then push yourself up and come back onto your mat. Move the blocks or the book to the side, and then bend the knees. Point the feet up towards the ceiling. Bend the knees 90 degrees, and grab the outsides of the feet with your hands. If you can't reach your feet, you can grab your shins or maybe just behind your thighs. Coming into a happy baby pose. Some call it that bug pose. So you want your legs are 90 degrees, feet are pointing, feet are flexed, feet are pointing up towards the ceiling and your feet are flexed. And then you're encouraging your knees to come lower towards the ground, but at the same time you're trying to push your tailbone into the floor. You want to find length in your low back here. And you can stay here holding like this or add a little rock side to side. That also feels quite good on your low back. Good. One more breath. And you're gently going to let go of the feet. Bring your feet to the floor. Extend your legs. And find your Shavasana. So the arms will come down by the sides. Bring your shoulders under your back. Relax the feet. Scan your body. Relax every muscle as you go. And then relax your mind as well. And you enjoy your few moments of Shavasana. And slowly deepening your breath. Start moving your toes, your fingers, your wrists, ankles. And you can extend the arms up above the head, stretch out the body. Bend the knees. And roll to your right side. Pause there for a breath. And when you're ready, push your left hand into the floor and slowly come up. Try to keep your eyes closed. Coming into a cross-legged position here, whichever feels best for you today. Sitting up nice and tall, let's do two cleansing breaths to close the class. So inhale deeply through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One more inhale. Float your hands towards the heart center. Bring the palms together. Lower the chin towards your chest. Open the eyes and raise your head. And as always, thank you so much for joining for this 4th class in our Yoga Foundation series. I hope you're enjoying the classes. Thank yourself for taking this time for yourself, for your body and mind, and hope to see you again. Namaste.